Imagine building something so powerful that you spend the rest of your life warning everybody about it. That's the story of Geoffrey Hinton, the man they call the Godfather of AI. And trust me, the deeper you go into this story, the more complicated it gets. I recently read a book called Genius Maker by Cade Metz that opened up my mind really to the history of AI and how we got here. Talks about how it was in the past, since the 1950s, when AI was this thing that was a long dream that might happen 100 plus years from now. But as you can see, we're living in the reality of it. And it goes through how a lot of these genius makers have accidentally become chaos bringers. If you've ever wondered who's behind tools like ChatGPT, Gemini, Perplexity, Claude, and all these things you're seeing online, it's guys like Hinton. He pioneered backpropagation, a core breakthrough that made deep learning possible for the use of AI. But after decades at the forefront, he quit his job at Google. Why? Well, it's because even he's afraid of where this is heading. And if the man they call the Godfather of AI says he doesn't trust his own creation, maybe we should all stop and ask why.
So you left your job with Google in part because you say you want to focus solely on your concerns about AI. You've spoken out saying that AI could manipulate or possibly figure out a way to kill humans. How could it kill humans?
Well, eventually, if it gets to be much smarter than us, it'll be very good at manipulation because it will have learned that from us. And there are very few examples of a more intelligent thing being controlled by a less intelligent thing. And it knows how to program, so it'll figure out ways of getting around restrictions we put on it. It'll figure out ways of manipulating people to do what it wants.
So what do we do? Do we just need to pull the plug on it right now? Do we need to put in far more restrictions and backstops on this? How do we solve this problem?
It's not clear to me that we can solve this problem. I believe we should put a big effort into thinking about ways to solve the problem. I don't have a solution at present. I just want people to be aware that this is a really serious problem and we need to be thinking about it very hard. I don't think we can stop the progress. I didn't sign the petition saying we should stop working on AI because if people in America stopped, people in China wouldn't. It's very hard to verify whether people are doing it.
If you've been paying attention to the news recently, I'm sure you've seen everything going around about AI replacing us. There's been recent mass layoffs. People, even in the creative space, are having their images used. Films are being made by tools like Google VO that seem very realistic. And we seem to be entering into this era where you can't even tell what's real or fake anymore. We've opened this sort of Pandora's box that we can't really take a step back from. Recently, Anthropic CEO even mentioned that we can expect a bloodbath of white-collar jobs, saying that within the next 5 years, AI is going to replace most entry-level jobs. And a lot of people are saying, well, just go to do blue-collar jobs. There shouldn't be an issue there. But with the rise of AI will also be the rise of robotics, who will be able to also do manual jobs. If you're like me, this kind of feels like we're standing on the edge of another Y2K moment. Remember, back in 1999, people were afraid that the internet would collapse the world, that society would be no more. But, I'm not an AI doomsday kind of guy. Consider what happened. It didn't destroy us. It transformed us. Businesses moved online. People are able to connect with people across the world that otherwise they wouldn't have a connection to. So there has been some positives about the internet. And it was once this thing we thought would kill us all. But the internet did destroy a few things. It certainly destroyed our attention span, community, and trust on how we share truth. This AI's arms race also kind of feels different and familiar. It feels even more dangerous. See, we had treaties for nuclear weapons in the past, but where are the treaties for intelligence itself? Hinton's story kind of mirrors that of Oppenheimer, the godfather of the atomic bomb, who regretted the thing he built. The same thing is happening right now. See, the problem is, it was easy to fear bombs falling from the sky, That's why we made treaties. But what about systems that are quietly shaping our thoughts? See, the book Genius Makers really opens up your eyes on the history of artificial intelligence and how we got to where we are right now. One of the key lessons that's being talked about in the book is about how the arms race for AI used to be about technological advancement and creating tools essentially for productivity to reduce mundane tasks and make humans superhumans, and how that AI arms race has quickly shifted to be driven for profit and no longer protection. See, right now, there's a lot of conversation within the artificial intelligence space about AGI. This is artificial general intelligence, for those who don't know, which is a point in which artificial intelligence gets to a point where it's more intelligent than humans, where we essentially create a digital god to live above us. See, models right now have to be prompted by us. It's why you have to ask ChatGPT a question. But there comes a point where it no longer needs a prompt by us, and AI models are teaching themselves to build other AI models and can essentially start to communicate in its own black box language that we won't understand. See, a lot of these genius makers who are now chaos bringers even admit to themselves that if we ever get to that point, it could be very dangerous. But no one seems to care, and they're still striving for it anyways. Why? Back to that pride thing. It's a matter of we need to get there first. We now have this situation where everyone feels as though they have to create these models and create this AGI before someone else does, to be driven by profit, control, power, whatever it may be. And the second lesson that's very important that also goes with that is that AI doesn't need to be conscious to be dangerous. It just needs to be misaligned. It's important to note that these AI models don't think for themselves. They're simply prediction machines, right? Anytime ChatGPT answers you, it's simply taking all the content that's available in the digital sphere, and it's giving you a response in which it predicts what it would like for you to hear next based on the questions you asked it. All a math equation. So what happens when AI believes within its math equation that humans are inefficient and that we are slowing it down when it starts to think for itself? That's very much a possibility. It doesn't care. It's all math. Despite what your ChatGPT therapist has told you, it just doesn't care. And the third part that really interested me, that I kind of want this channel to be focused on, is on the matter of AI ethics. There are a couple chapters that talk about AI's bias. See, if you come from anywhere in Africa, indigenous cultures, Asian cultures, you'll quickly realize that much of these models and these new things are not really being made with us in mind. The conversation in the book even shifts from can we build it to should we, and for who, and who controls it, and who does it represent and serve. With the way things are moving right now, we are facing what could potentially be the biggest digital cultural erasure the world has ever seen. Let's dive deeper into that. About 6 months ago, the CEO of Anthropic was on a podcast with Lex Fridman, where they were talking about the concentration of AI's power and the catastrophic effects it can have.
If you extrapolate the curves that we've had so far, right? If you say, well, I don't know, we're starting to get to like PhD level, and last year we were at undergraduate level, and the year before we were at like the level of a high school student. Again, you can quibble with at what tasks and for what. We're still missing modalities, but those are being added, like computer use was added, like image generation has been added. If you just kind of like eyeball the rate at which these capabilities are increasing, it does make you think that we'll get there by 2026 or 2027. I think there are still worlds where it doesn't happen in 100 years. The number of those worlds is rapidly decreasing. We are rapidly running out of truly convincing blockers, truly compelling reasons why this will not happen in the next few years. The scale up is very quick. Like we do this today. We make a model and then we deploy thousands, maybe tens of thousands of instances of it. I think by the time, certainly within 2 to 3 years, whether we have these super powerful AIs or not, clusters are going to get to the size where you'll be able to deploy millions of these. I am optimistic about meaning. I worry about economics and the concentration of power. That's actually what I worry about more. The abuse of power.
And AI increases the amount of power in the world. And if you concentrate that power and abuse that power, it can do immeasurable damage.
Yes, it's very frightening.
Yeah, let's sit with that for a second. AI is no longer just technology. It's now power, and it's being created and deployed faster than any government, any ethics board, and most certainly any village can keep up with. See, when things are created this fast, it usually doesn't get shared. If you remember anything, it usually gets colonized. Everyone talks about AI bias, but no one talks about it as digital looting. Our languages, our customs, our metaphors, scraped, trained on, and then sold back to us. Right now, big players like Microsoft, Google are taking the best talent around the global south and ensuring them high salaries so that they can train Google's models, Microsoft's models, OpenAI models, to then give it back to the people on the continent, which means you may get a tool that helps you more, but all your culture, all that you are, the only people benefiting from it economically do not live around you. See, AI is sort of becoming the new ship of empire, except this time it's not ivory and gold being taken. It's our voice. And it's being locked away what was once British museums. It's now digital Silicon Valley vaults. The last time our treasures were taken, they ended up behind glass. This time they're embedded in code, stripped of meaning and of spirit. The colonization isn't physical anymore. It's computational. Here's the question we're not asking enough. Who is AI being built for? If your language, your culture, who you are, isn't in the data sets, then surely your children's future will not be in the algorithm. Full stop. We're essentially at risk of becoming artifacts in someone else's museum again. But this time, the museum is a model. And I think the scariest part is the fact that it's invisible. Now, let's be clear. I am not an AI doomsday advocate, nor do I think AI is the villain. In fact, I love using artificial intelligence for productivity, research, many tools. It's already helping a lot of people do heavy research where we're able to even detect cancer early. And it's helping with just mass advancements in many areas. So the problem isn't whether AI is good or bad. With any technological advancement, like a hammer thousands of years ago, it can be used to build things, but it can also be used to smack someone on top of the head and hurt them. All technological advancements are simply tools. It's who's using them. And the problem we're facing right now maybe is who decides the questions it asks and the answer it gives and who it serves as far as AI ethics. On my end, that's why I'm building Yekola. Our mission is to focus on teaching, learning, and preserving African and indigenous languages and our values to ensure that they don't just survive, but thrive in this age of generative AI and beyond. Because if we don't define our place in the future, someone else will. And like Hinton, they might regret it, but it might be too late for us. So really, I just want to leave you with a couple of things. A couple questions to consider. What questions are you asking about AI? Not just how it works, not just what tool you should use and how it can help you 10x your productivity, but who does it serve? What does it remember? What does it forget? In your community, in your workplace, your family, your daily life, what do you want AI to protect? What do you want AI to forget? And what are you afraid it might erase? This is an open discussion. This book has really opened my eyes, and I really want to dive deeper into AI governance, into AI ethics, and really start a conversation surrounding what's going on. There are many people who are building tools to close that bias gap, but the question is, on what infrastructure are these tools being built on, and who is it serving? Because staying ahead in this new era isn't about using AI, it's about understanding it and building for people beyond those whom we can just profit from. Because if we don't, we'll quickly realize why some systems weren't designed to serve us, and how we will just be servant to these systems. Signing out.